welcome you all to the Parrot Specialist Bootcamp. Today we have Kristina over here on our day 5. Hey Kristina, we welcome you all and we're so excited to see your upcoming session. So over to you, Kristina.
Perfect. Hi guys, it's me, Kristina here, obviously. Today is day 5, June 27th. Before I kick off, obviously, with the presentation, brief words about myself, why I am here. I've been working in a Salesforce space for the past 7 years. Initially, probably like most of us, I started with Salesforce Sales Cloud and Service Cloud. But about 3-4 years ago, marketing platforms really boomed, and every implementation actually became multi-cloud implementation, where businesses obviously realized that there was a really big need for marketing platforms, for managing social media, for creating a lot of gated content, landing pages, as people actually started to use social media more, as people started to use more their fancy mobile phones and were able to actually open all the emails and landing pages on their form. So that was, I think, key moment in I think evolution of I guess internet and us evolving. So that was obviously for me time where I kind of started slowly learning more about Pardot and Marketing Cloud, and very soon after that I would say I fall in love with marketing and the Pardot. If you ever interested in seeing what I'm doing, you can find me in the social links. And without further ado, I'm gonna proceed with the presentation for us all, hopefully to be able to better prepare for the Pardot Specialist exam. And the topic for today is Pardot forms, form handlers, and landing pages. And as we can see, it takes roughly 20% of the exam, so it's 1/5 part of actual exam. It's quite a big chunk. So without further ado, my plan is, in the beginning, we're gonna start with Pardot forms and form handlers. Then we're gonna combine our knowledge that we're gonna learn about forms and combine it with landing pages. And then last but not least, we're gonna explore form reporting and a landing page reporting. And then we're gonna beautifully sum it up and potentially have some questions and answers. So in terms of Pardot forms, we probably know that nowadays forms are actually really important and key ingredient for all businesses. Every business have either their website, either their landing page, either their pop-up, and most of the time it actually requires prospects entering some key information like their first name, last name, email, etc., etc. So it's really important for us as Pardot specialists to understand when is the best solution and which form or for handler should we use in any situation. So before deciding which solution we should go for, we need to understand what are actually pros and the cons and what are the differences in between these two features. So in terms of the Pardot forms and form handlers, both actually capture and prevent capturing duplicate information. So we need to understand that, historically, actually back in 2018, every prospect was unique prospect because Pardot was treating email as a unique identifier. Now times have changed, and actually Pardot allows duplicate submissions. But if Pardot actually has cookied somebody before and somebody submits the form with the same email address, that means they will gonna link those prospects together and they will start accumulating the data about that prospect in one spot under the one prospect. Another thing, obviously, email address validation. So it comes out of the box if the address doesn't meet any normal email address criteria, meaning it has some words and letters, it has at your domain and then it has .com, .co.uk, or any other countries ending. So that won't be, I guess, valid, and prospect will receive an error with the error message you specify to actually fix it and report it. Again, I'm seeing something is popping in the chat. If guys, can we please agree, just to kind of not disturb anything? We're gonna leave all the questions for later. Otherwise, I'll get distracted seeing those pop-ups. Just write down questions in your notes. Thanks. So, in terms of progressive profiling, so progressive profiling is a phenomenal feature that actually allows, and this will be a quick sneak peek. So let's imagine somebody submits the form, and first time they actually submit that form, they are asked to submit 3 questions. Any next time they will gonna land and be prompted to submit the form, you are actually able to ask them any other questions you have in your form, because you will already have data about other fields that they have previously submitted, and we're going to deep dive into that obviously in the real demo. Then really important thing that we need to know and consider is obviously bot protection. I have seen numbers of bot submissions are literally skyrocketing every year, and that's why I really love to use actually Pardot forms for many reasons, and one of those reasons is actually that bot protection. Then integrates with third-party forms. So form handler, just to jump ahead a little bit, form handler is something you create inside Pardot, and then you simply map field IP names and submit URL on your website without actually embedding physical form, but you are reusing code of your own website. That's why it's very easy and quickly to integrate form handler with your website, and that's the quickest solution to go for. But there are obviously some pros and cons about that, and integrates with third-party forms. Probably you have heard there are a lot of form solutions out there. There are Gravity forms, there are Formiola, maybe some Google forms, Web2Lead forms that integrate with Salesforce. So if that's the purpose, you would obviously go for the form handler. Then maintains current lead flow. So as form handler actually is the quickest way and the quickest solution to implement form on your website, it also allows you to retain your current flow without, again, implementing any custom iframes or any custom solutions for your business as a new. Then supports custom front-end editing. So because form handler is not an iframe that you need to customly style and customize, you can literally retain also your websites or landing pages design. So that's again a very big pros of form handler. The next thing is provides form views and error data. So by default, if you go ahead with Pardot form and obviously you write your own code, Pardot also has a easy customizable error messages that you can specify for every field. The next thing is provides field level change audits for prospects. So obviously you will be able to specify every form field's values and options that the prospects can select, and you will be able to maintain and change these at any time whenever you need. Just obviously you will need to be very mindful if you're taking any values out, then you need to update those old values in your both systems just to make sure Salesforce also has the up-to-date values and there are no sync error, because if you take any value out but you still leave that value on the prospect, it will basically stop syncing because there will be an error in between these systems because of those mismatches in available field options. Then the next is integrate with Pardot landing pages. So when you actually build your landing pages, you most of the times build them together with Pardot forms, and then they are kind of automatically plug in and play solutions, and you can retain and design them both together at once. Then base automation rules on form views. So obviously, because when you are integrating Pardot form on your website, that is an iframe, you are able to, cookie a prospect, whoever interacts with that iframe, and based on that, you can trigger automation rules and also form completion actions, etc. Then send prospect autoresponder emails, so that's available for both forms and form handlers. Redirect to a success page, again available for both form and form handlers. And display Pardot thank you content after form submission. This will be available for Pardot form. And after now, we have kind of skimmed through the brief kind of comparison of form and form handler. I will go into my Pardot test org, and obviously we're gonna now start learning and doing how it is from within. So from your probably first sessions, you know your way around the tool. Depending if you're kind of very familiar, obviously you can use this. If you still need a reminder where to find what, I sometimes like to expand the menu. But the playground where we're going to be working today will be this form and landing pages. So these will be two things that we're going to be working on today. And let's start today with Pardot forms. So I'm going to go to marketing, forms, and click on forms. And it will gonna take me to my menu, and I'm gonna click on add new form. So first of all, with anything that we do, obviously we know we need to name it. I'm a big person and believer in naming conventions. I believe every business should have their own naming conventions that they follow, so they really know what they are looking at after time. So in my opinion, whenever you're creating new form, either it's a landing page, either it's an email template, either it's an image, you give it a proper name, and especially if you're an international company. So for example, let's imagine I am actually international business and I run in America, EMEA, and Asia. So in this case, I would start actually naming my file with specifying which area this file belongs to, because obviously EMEA is a big region. I would specify the country, either it's France, either it's UK, either it's Italy, Germany, whatever it is. Then because it's a form, I just can say it is contact us website form, and if there is anything else I would need to add, I would do so. So every time, and especially let's imagine your business have maybe multiple websites, maybe for every language you will gonna use different forms, different landing pages. So by giving it a meaningful name, you'll really save your time in the future by actually looking for that piece. Next, obviously, it's tags. Again, in the business, there should be an agreement and logic in a way how you use tags. For example, in this case, when I'm creating a key main form for the website, for me, it is a evergreen content. So there can be evergreen images, for example, like banners and logos that people reuse constantly all the time, or there is evergreen form. For example, in a scenario, if you have 50, 100, 200 forms, you maybe want to add specific tags that are evergreen or like key, or tags that are related to the region. Maybe in this case, I would add a tag EMEA and I would add a tag evergreen. So then by the tags, I would be easily able to see and also filter my forms. Then you probably know with everything in Pardot, you actually need to add it in a specific folder because imagine Pardot is actually your Google Drive, and it really requires tidiness and actually you being able to find your stuff. So by putting it in the correct folder, it will really help you long term. And then obviously campaigns. So we use campaigns not only for email templates, not only for images, but also for forms and landing pages, because in Salesforce you can create very beautiful engagement reports, and you want to see how many prospects and visitors actually engaged with your forms, form handlers, and landing pages, because you want to see how many people landed on that landing page and how many prospects actually submitted that form, because this will be the way how you can actually track your ROI and success of any of your campaigns. So that's why choosing, let's see if I have any test campaign over here. Let's just go for this one. So by specifying a specific campaign will help you obviously to track the success of whatever you're creating as a marketeer. Then now we are able to specify what are those fields, what are those data points that we will be capturing in our forms. By default, Pardot is always suggesting it to be a first name, last name, company, and email. Obviously, depending on the purpose of your form, you would add less or more fields. For example, if it's a newsletter, maybe you just want to capture name and email. If it's a contact us, maybe you want to capture first name, last name, email, title, and the description text, so they can actually enter some questions and information they have. And because this is a contact us form, let's try adding a new field, and I'm gonna go for comments. I'm gonna add a label for that field, actually different. Please share your query. And I'm gonna leave it as text and text. And obviously now, as we are in this moment, let's explore what type of fields we can actually have in our forms. And we can have text field. So you're gonna use text for any description, any long text, any number or phone, for all those type of input fields, I would say. Then we have date. So unfortunately, comparing, you will probably already are thinking in Salesforce, we also have a date and time field. So Pardot doesn't support date and time fields by default, so you would probably use text in this case. But if it's a simple date, you would use date. Then, because obviously you need to think about it as from obviously form perspective. Then we have a checkbox. If you have maybe true or false, yes or no type of questions. We have radio buttons, similar. We have a drop down, potentially drop down you would use for a country field if you actually have a drop down for countries in your Salesforce. Then we can have a text area. If it's something big, potentially they need to submit a larger amount of characters in the description, etc. And then we have hidden field. So hidden field you would probably normally use if you want to add additional bot protection. So on the forms you can add like hidden submit values to make sure bot is actually not submitting this. Or you can also use hidden fields if you are tracking, let's say, UTM parameters. So you probably know that you can integrate your Google Analytics and Google Ads with Pardot. In Pardot, we can actually track by default UTM parameters like campaign, term, etc. But from my experience, I have seen not always these things work by default. So some companies actually prefer manually on the submit to pass that information into custom fields that would be hidden fields on a form. And in this case, and that way, these values would be submitted. So this is about the field types. And then let's explore the date format. So we have, and this is obviously text, we have number. You would use, if it would be a phone, it can be text, and then you can specify a number here. But be very careful because number can be very limiting. Obviously, you would need to have only from 1 to 0. If it would be, if you are requiring actually somebody to enter like a plus sign with a country code, the number would not really work. And a very important thing to know, whenever you're using email, and I will gonna save these changes for now here, and I'm gonna go to the email. So here in the format, we can actually choose and validate the email address. So if you leave by default email, person can submit any email. It can be gibberish@gibberish.gibberish. So basically anything that is following technically the correct format can be submitted. And in this case, it can be k@k.k, and this would meet technically the criteria and person could actually submit it. So if you're actually looking to get a more quality email addresses, I would go for email with valid mail server, or you can go even further and email not from ISPs and free email providers. So in this case, for example, if you are creating a project or working for business that actually requires and needs and wants to, for their prospects to submit only business emails, let's say like Kristina@salesforce.com. So in this case, you would go for this last option. So that's really, really important to know. So don't forget to change this format and go at least with email with valid mail servers, because then when you select this option and when somebody will be pressing the submit button, it will actually go do a ping to the server to check that this email actually exists. And then it would, if it email exists, it would allow to submit. If not, it would throw an error for the prospect to fix it. And then obviously, important thing, do we require this field to always be submitted and with email and last name, first name? Yes. Potentially, if you're asking a lot of questions and they may be optional, you would deselect this option over here. Now let's go a little bit further and let's click on this advanced. So this is also a privilege of Pardot form. It actually gives you more options to specify. So in the advanced, what we are doing, we're specifying the error message. How I do this, I always copy the field label, because this field label will be the one that prospect sees on the form, and I will, instead of this field is required, because technically if I click on any of the fields that I currently have in my form, the error message will be the same, this field is required. And let's imagine they're trying to submit form without completing any of the fields, so they will get 5 the same error messages saying this field is required, that is literally telling nothing. So I always at least change this to the field label. And then another thing that we have over here is CSS Classes. So in this CSS class, whenever you are designing your custom form, and every form has a design of the HTML and CSS that you write for it to actually meet your website's overall design, you can potentially add maybe some extra styling classes to the fields. If, let's say, if you want to grade out a background of the field or color or anything else. And then we have a description. So this description is something more for the internal use or external use, where you can specify maybe potentially some details more about this field. Then we have these three key things. So this will be related, and these three checkboxes you're going to see for every field in the form. And the first one is always display even if previously completed. So let's imagine I am visiting Salesforce website for the third time and I'm trying to complete the form for the third time. So if I already once provided my first name, last name, and email, for the better user experience, I would already want to see my name and my email in the form, because that way it would allow me to submit the form much more quicker and the whole experience would be very seamless and effortless. So with most of the fields, I would keep this. The exceptions could be if this is a field that is potentially capturing information about products they're interested in. So maybe every time they're submitting similar form, they're actually inquiring about different product, and those products, let's say, are captured in your select field or multi-select field, your pick list. So you would want, I guess, maybe not to display the previously captured values, to allow them to re-enter the new value again, and then you can concatenate all the values throughout the time of all the products that they have been ever interested in. Then we have this magic checkbox, do not pre-fill. And then in terms of the email, what Salesforce themselves are obviously saying, we strongly recommend keeping the email field pre-filled where possible. This helps you keep your prospect data clean and helps drive your prospects to use the not you link, an option available in step 3 of the builder. So if prospect, like I said, already submitted this form, they're gonna see their email address. In a scenario, let's imagine this is a public library or maybe a public laptop in a hallway in a company. So maybe if I, Kristina, submitted the form in the morning and John went to submit the same form in the evening, he'll probably see my email address because it was cookied. So this would not be typically great experience, but you can then have not me option to select, so then you can start the form from the scratch and then maintain the initial value upon submission from the I guess the specific submission that they make. So this would be, imagine I am submitting the form for the third time, and every time I'm submitting a new value, and let's say you actually care about the first value that I submitted. So in this case, you would want to select this to make sure always the main key value is retained. So now let's talk about values. And for that, I will need to create a new field, and this will be a pick list. So in this case, let me check country, it's a text, course. Let me check course. I'm gonna make a drop down, text, perfect. And I'm gonna go for values. So in terms of these, so this would be actually, let me pick the country. This will be a great example. Country, drop down, and I can already, so by default, these are options that you see here. are the same options that we also see in Salesforce. So Salesforce gives us an option to select basically all the countries in the world to have in our country pick list. And you can do the same with Pardot. And then it will gonna throw me a message. This will erase all the changes below. Are you sure? Yes, absolutely sure. And it will gonna load all the countries in the world. So you can do that with any field you want, and this is really great thing to do. Then the next thing that we're gonna learn today about will be this progressive thing. So I will gonna go back to one of my slides that I have here, and let's talk about progressive profiling. So progressive profiling is basically a feature that Pardot form has, only Pardot form, not form handler. So every time a person lands on the website and submits the form again and again, I can ask them to submit and provide me new values. So every time somebody submits the form for the first time, I'm gonna ask them their name, email, company. Whenever that person lands on my website, because I already know all these values over here, I can automatically populate that form with those values and ask him to submit these two new values. So every time somebody will be submitting the form, we as a business will be able to learn new information about that prospect. And I always recommend this feature, and I always am heads up for it in investing actually time and building this, because the more we know about our prospects, the more valuable message as a business we can send to that prospect, and the more valuable answers and engagement with our forms, emails, etc., we'll be getting. So always consider this feature, and if customer is asking you about progressive profiling, have this screenshot it now or find it online. But this is something you can show them to easily explain what it is, and I guess get them hooked up. So to enable and set up this progressive profiling, you will need to enable and check this checkbox. And what it says, show this field only if prospect already has data in the following fields. So because I am creating new field, I want to display only this field whenever email, first name and last name are already submitted. So meaning whenever I have already these 3 or 4 values, I will gonna ask them for more fields to submit. So this is what it is, as simple as that, no code required, and this will make it really work nicely, and I'm gonna leave it like that. And then dependent. So in Pardot forms, again, this is only available with Pardot forms, not form handlers. We can make dependent field values. So let's say if you have different products for EMEA and different products for Asia, whenever somebody selects the country that is from Asian region, you're gonna display a pick list value or pick list that has only Asian products. Whenever somebody displays and submits country as Germany, they will gonna see only EMEA related products. So this is what this dependent pick list does. So in my case, I can easily now go and select Belgium. Belgium is based in EMEA, and then I'm gonna say if somebody submits Belgium, show them the course field. And it looks like you don't have the course field in the form yet, add it, and I'm just gonna say yes. So this is the drill. Very simple and very powerful. Again, you can create these forms with no code and have a custom and powerful logic within. So I'm just gonna click save. And as we have created all the fields for the form we want, and I'm just gonna delete these two. Don't need them for now. I'm gonna click on this magic next blue button, and it will gonna take me to the next look and feel screen. So here is the moment and the place where I actually select my forms layout template. For now, I'm gonna leave it blank because we haven't learned about it yet. But in terms of the forms, or actually, let me select something. I'm gonna select standard. So submit button text. So this is important. Obviously, every time, and I'm just gonna use, let's say, my website for example. Every form has a submit button. So in my case, I, for example, have send my message. So this is a custom button. It's not send, it's not submit. This is something I have created from my side, and it's something new. So this is something we can do here. Submit now. Yeah. So this will be my button. Then above and below the form, you can add either variable tags, either just a plain text. So for example, it can be hey, and like it can be, let's say, first name. If I don't have their first name, we can actually use Pardot HTML logic, and I actually have done a presentation on that, and I'm gonna share it after with the organizers so they can share it with you. But with HTML, you can basically, if you already have cookied that prospect, above the form you can display, hey Kristina, submit all these fields. Or if this is a new prospect, you can display, hey there, welcome to our website, please submit the form to proceed with our introductory product, whatever it is. Yeah. So above the form you can add something. You can also add below the form maybe some links to T's and C's, to your privacy policy, maybe to your marketing spiel or GDPR thing. Then we have styles. So here we can select. Pardot actually gives us, if you want to use maybe Pardot's style builder to customize your, or obviously you can have it in your own HTML already included in your layout template. Then you can choose some different fonts, you can choose colors, you can choose how you want to align the labels. So labels are, again, form fields. Do you want to display form field above the box of the field or on the left side? The same checkbox alignment. Do you want to display your checkboxes or radio buttons horizontally, or do you want to stock them up? And then some required field. How do you want to display the required field? And then we have advanced. So this is a really, I guess, the power of Pardot. And I will gonna go to my theory slides, and we will gonna explore first of all the kiosk mode. So whenever you are creating form, let's imagine, and you are attending trade show, or you are maybe standing on a street and selling ice cream and gathering emails for a free ice cream, whatever it is, you would use, in this case, a kiosk mode to actually capture prospects' data, and every time somebody submits the form would jump again to a new page that is the same form. So every person passes you by, they fill in the form, they click submit, and then again it starts from the beginning. Then you probably heard before in this not you link, in a scenario where we have a computer in the main hall in the company, and I went and submitted the form in the morning, then John went in the afternoon, and John saw my cookied email. We can include not you link, so the next person who submits the form, they can actually erase the my previously submitted information and type their own. And then this is key. I would 99.9% of the time, or all the 100% of the time, recommend to enable this reCAPTCHA. It's really, really important for businesses to have it, to eliminate as much as possible all the bot submissions, because there are a lot, and this is a really, really helpful thing to do. So these are the two things I always, to be honest, check when I am creating the new form. Then I'm gonna click on next, and we're gonna explore the completion actions. Again, you probably have learned and explored that in the previous days, but I'll just gonna talk about it, how it actually relates to forms and form handlers specifically. So the most popular completion action you would use on the form would be send and autoresponder email. So whenever you're creating an email template that is, thank you for submitting the form, we're gonna get back to you in the next 24 hours, but in the meantime, please read our latest blog post, or please download this white paper. So you would add this email template over here, and I don't know if I have any email templates. I don't, so that's fine, but you can add email templates, and as soon as somebody submits the form, the email will be sent out immediately. Then the second most popular thing can actually be that you potentially, if in a scenario this form is for the gated content, or maybe this form is collecting recipients and potential people who are interested in attending specific events, maybe you want to add them to the list. So automatically all the people who submit the form and are interested in attending Pardot Specialist Bootcamp, I want to add all these people to the list. So I have all these people already in one list for the data collection and whatever reason can be. And maybe after 2 months, when I'm organizing a new training, I can already send my training invite to all these people that attended previous training already. So I see people and businesses use this option a lot. And then if let's imagine this is maybe some event specific thing, maybe with training again, I can actually add them automatically to a CRM campaign for my tracking purposes. So I want to track all the people that submit the form, and afterwards maybe I want to track all the people that, let's say in the beginning it can be connected. Once I send them email, afterwards manually or automatically I can update status to send, and once they maybe click on a specific link with a completion action, I can update their status in the campaign to responded. So that way I can really see how many people do how many things and actions related to that specific campaign. So completion actions and form are two powerful things together combined. And once I'm happy with my completion action, once I'm happy with my thank you content, we probably all know anytime I submit the form, I want to see thank you John or whatever for submitting this form, and maybe there can be some disclaimers and extra info. All of that you can type it in here in a text format. If you wanna maybe go extra mile and you're familiar with CSS and HTML, you can click on this magic icon over here, and you can maybe code or program your text, thank you text. Maybe you want to add some GIF or something funky, so you can do that over here. And then I'm gonna click next. And always in the last step, Pardot will give me a preview of whatever I have created. If I'm happy, I'm gonna click confirm and save, and it will gonna save everything that I just created. And by default, here I have a link. So I can click on this link. It will gonna open that form in a new pop-up. And you can probably already see, so design is not really the design that Pardot gives by default, but because you probably remember, I selected that standard layout template that has my custom code. So this is the custom code, and this is how my form with my custom code will look. And here I have that I'm not a robot. This is, I guess, important if you want to eliminate any bot submissions. So this is a form in a nutshell. I'm gonna close it. Now I'm gonna click on edit the form. And another thing that I want to demonstrate is these tracker domains. So what are these tracker domains? So if you are working for a larger company, and let's say it's L'Oreal, and L'Oreal have bought Kiehl's Cosmetics, they have bought Schwarzkopf, they have bought Kerestas, so they have all these brands under L'Oreal, and maybe this form is created specifically for that brand. So to make sure whatever persons actually sees, if you maybe share only the link for this form with them, you can create multiple tracker domains, so the experience is very authentic and user doesn't get confused by seeing link that is go to Pardot or maybe related to other brand. Here you would select a tracker domain of that specific brand. And the same thing you can also do for landing pages and form handlers. Then another thing is view HTML code. So whenever we're creating forms, and let's remember and associate always forms with an iframe. So this will be the form that you literally embed on your company's website. And to do so, you will need to click on this view HTML code, and it will give you this iframe that you can further style with CSS and copy and paste it in your website HTML. So most popular scenario would actually be that you are a Pardot consultant. You are hired to develop and set up and customize and implement Pardot. So you create all the fields, the forms, the logic, the completion actions, the fields, you name it. And then that company has in-house IT team, or maybe they have an agency that is actually managing their website. So you're gonna say all the forms that we have on the website now will be replaced with Pardot forms. I will gonna create all these forms with the same fields and the same values, and I will gonna give you these iframes that you will need to embed instead of the current forms. So from the user perspective and experience, the experience will be the same. In the backend, instead of submitting these forms to spreadsheet, Google Drive, or Salesforce, whenever those submissions were going previously before, they will now be directly submitted to Pardot. Once also prospect submits the form using Pardot form or form handler, they will be cookied, and in the future, whenever they land on the website, engage with any other content, you will be able to track it and see it. That's why it's really, really important to use Pardot forms, because not only they submit information directly, but also it will give you that future tracking and cooking feature and functionality for you to, I guess, further track their score, their grade, etc., etc. Water always tastes good after such a long talking. So this is one thing. Another thing, here we have a magic button called View Report. So whenever And this is a boring scenario, but I'm gonna go for exciting scenario. I'm gonna click on a form that already has almost 15,000 submissions. I'm gonna click on view report, and I will be able to see all these things. How many total views, how many unique views, what is the conversion, total submissions, unique submissions, how many errors, and all the prospects that submitted that form. So this is available directly from the form, and this will also be available in the reports that we're going to quickly explore later. And then obviously you can copy this form whenever you're creating similar forms, but you just maybe need to update a couple of labels, etc., etc. Just copy forms, and it will be a quick and seamless experience. And obviously you can delete form. So that's in terms of forms. Now we will gonna explore form handlers. So form handlers, the key thing we need to remember is that form handlers are easier and quicker to build and design and maintain and sustain, because when we are creating form handler, we are creating like a backend logic, and we are creating form API names that we're gonna later just give them to the website developer together with a submit button link, and they will gonna basically in their website code only update those field labels and the submit code, and we don't need to give them any iframe. So then there will be basically quickly, easily be able to get up and running with Pardot forms. So the same spiel, obviously we always need to label our form. Let's say this is Asia, this is in Asia, oh my god, Singapore, and then let's say again, this can be contact us name. Again, as always, adding it to the folder, adding my tags. I always add tags. I think this is really, really important. Then choose campaign. We're gonna go with any campaign. Again, depending if you have multiple brands, you're gonna select your tracker domain. Then similar kiosk mode, enable data forwarding to success location. So now let's talk about this success location, what it is. So success location we will gonna use when we and I had that thing somewhere, including forms in the emails. Here, no, here. Okay, it's somewhere, doesn't matter, I know it by heart. So whenever you want to integrate your form with Salesforce web to lead form, just be aware you can create then duplicate records, because at the same time you'll be basically creating a prospect in Salesforce and in Pardot, but for whatever case there might be a use case for that. So then you would select this enable data forwarding to a success location, and obviously you will be entering this specific URL success location over here, and this will allow you to submit this as a web to lead form. And then we have the same kiosk mode that it does what it says here, do not cookie browser as a submitted prospect. It will be just basically running all the time around and round. And then obviously always you need to submit a error location. So every website has error location that is style designed in that website's brand. So always obviously use that. Then we have the same spiel with the completion actions. So every time somebody submits the form, you definitely want to send them an autoresponder, maybe add to the list, maybe add a tag, maybe send a notification to a salesperson if there is a hot lead in a specific coming from a specific country, whatever it is. And then form fields. So you can probably see that when I'm creating these form fields, I have, instead of 5 tabs, I have only 2 tabs. So again, this is a quick, simple option, and it doesn't allow me to actually create and build any progressive profiling or do anything specific with values. But in a scenario, if this is something you don't need, you can go for this. And now let's talk about external field name. So when you are seeing this, you should be thinking about, like, it's, let's say, a developer, a programmer, and you want to create these field labels that are easily readable, searchable, and findable in the code. So if it's a first name, I would probably, and I would always start with a lowercase first. And then really depends. There are different developers, they have their own thing. Some people just like to add underscore as a break and type in name. There are people I have seen, they like to continue basically every name they continue with the capital. So let's say this is, something else, but there are 3 words in the name of that field label, and maybe they like to start with every next one is a capital one. Always make sure to ask the website developer or with whom you are working what is the kind of how they label fields in their code, just to make sure you are both guys aligned. Then the same thing here, you can select any field you want to add to the form. You're selecting the data format, and then in advanced you have an option to basically, if that's a first name, you'll just do first name, field is required, maybe dot, and then you can select maintain the initial value upon submission. So this is the spiel. I'm gonna save it, and in this manner, similar manner, you would create all the fields for your form handler. And whenever you're ready, you'll click save. So this is in a nutshell. We have discussed about forms and form handlers and what is the difference. Just to kind of summarize from my perspective, obviously to build a form, it's more it requires more effort to build the form, but it has extra functionalities related to security, protection, progressive profiling, that allows you to be, I guess, more superior in terms of these forms and functionalities. But this is, again, depending on your business case, depending on your project's budget, you will choose whatever is right for you. Then another thing that I want to discuss about forms is obviously testing. Whenever we are testing form, to test, because obviously whenever you build a form, you need to make sure you test all the fields, submit all the fields, submit all the possible values, and track and record that all of them are recording correctly, that there are no misspelling, no broken characters, anything can happen. So make sure to align that. And also, obviously, you need to make sure that all values that you submit to Pardot, whenever connector syncs, all those values also appear in Salesforce, if that form and fields exist in Salesforce and everything is mapped properly. So please make sure to always test whatever you are creating. Then quickly, in terms of including, some people probably think and also obviously explore a lot of interesting use cases. And let's say you maybe want to add a form in your email. So obviously nor Pardot nor me would recommend to do so. It's much more powerful, neater and cleaner design if you have short, straight to the point email, and then you have a nice, small, beautiful link that takes them to the form that you can additionally actually track that they're actually clicking on your links and engaging with your emails. So then you can obviously track their engagement and form submissions from after opening your email as well. And we obviously have explored and we know now how to add the iframe of the form on the website and the landing page. Now we're moving to, I guess, a little bit more exciting part, and it is landing pages. And before I go inside landing pages and creating layout template, I want you to visually see and understand how it all works. So the most important, the shell, the frame of the website is the layout template. Then inside that layout template, we have a landing page that has basically the landing page design. And then this is your layout template for the form. And this is how all these three things stack up to actually create one beautiful page. So this is what you need to know. Then when we are talking about Pardot landing pages, we have two options. So either we can choose a pre-existing template that Pardot gives us. So these will be the same as you probably learned on how to build email templates, and you saw that Pardot gives you some out-of-the-box email templates. The same thing is true for landing pages, and you can explore and use them, reuse them, or get at least some inspiration for how landing pages should look like. Or you can use a landing page builder, and you would use a landing page builder if you would want to use a design from your website that is fully custom and fully on brand. So these are two things that you need to know about the landing page. And without further ado, I will gonna go to marketing, I'm gonna go to landing pages, and I'm gonna click on the landing page. So I'm gonna click on landing page here, and then I'm gonna duplicate my tab, and at the same time I'm gonna also go to marketing, landing pages, and layout templates. So before we continue with landing pages, there is one cool trick that I want to teach you that will save you a lot of time. And so basically this is the layout template builder. So this is the builder that allows you to build designs, reusable designs for your landing pages and your forms. So in the ideal world, how it would work, that whenever you finish your Pardot implementation, you with your consultancy or you are partnering with the design agency, you would actually create a styled, designed layout templates for the business. So their marketing team that is not fully skilled in HTML and CSS, whenever they need to create a new landing page for the gated content or for their event, they will just reuse the email template, the layout template that you created, and they will just focus only on the text, but layout and the design will be there. And how easily you can do it as a consultant, you can actually click on this import layout. You can do it import from URL. Then I can go to my website. Let's say this is the layout for the landing page that I want to have. I'm gonna click and copy my URL. I'm gonna go to this box and paste the link from where I want to import my layout template. We're gonna click on this magic blue button and we're gonna replace the current one. And it quickly scanned all the code. I'm just gonna call it training test. Obviously, we need to add it to the correct folder. We need to give it a tag. And then I'm gonna click on preview changes. And in a matter of couple of seconds, in my Pardot, I literally have my website's page. So obviously we will need to fix up the image because I will need to import that image that I have in my website to Pardot and some little things like that. But you see how quickly I can create and import layout template in Pardot. And then obviously, so this is the ready layout. But now we want to make sure this is actually reusable. So what we need to know about Pardot layout templates is this. So every page, every landing page, if you are more devy, you'll probably know that in HTML and CSS we have tags like title, tags like content, tags like description. And if I'll now go to my landing page that I just built, I'm gonna do Command F, I'm gonna do title, I'm gonna click enter. I will gonna find, these are, all the, hop, and this, slowly, so here I have the class, and there should be also a div, title. Oh, so this is the one that I was looking for. So now, by default, if I would be reusing this layout template for my landing pages, the title would be this. But if I'm creating a reusable layout template, I need to use Pardot's variable tags for the title automatically be pulled from the title that we specify here on the landing page or on the form. So that will be always that label name when we create. So for example, if I click on this landing page, so whatever I specify in the name here, this will be automatically pulled title on my layout template. That's why I will change this, and now if you are on the old Pardot, if you haven't updated basically to HTML, you would use percentage title percentage. If you have upgraded to HTML, you will use these brackets wherever you are in your development. So you would basically update this to the correct ones. You would get rid of unnecessary text that is copied, and you would basically create title, content, description, and whichever data you're gonna have for your layout templates, for your forms that you are creating, it will be automatically replaced. So that's key and important thing that you need to know about layout templates. And you can obviously save this layout template and reuse it all over again and again for all your forms and landing pages. And whenever business is doing rebranding or relaunch, all you need to do is just to update the style for the layout template that you use for your forms and your landing pages. And then whenever you update the layout template, all the landing pages and all the forms that use this layout template will automatically gain the new design. So that's why it's very important kind of that you use couple key business approved layout templates, so then it's easily done and you can easily update them whenever you need to change your branding. So I'm gonna click cancel here, and now we're gonna go to my landing page, and I will gonna click on creating new landing page, because we're gonna go through the process of creating new landing page. So again, here we have an icon, and I can easily edit, I can easily copy existing, or I can delete the landing page. See, and it's gone. Obviously, sometimes whenever you are creating new landing page, you can select an archive date. So the landing page is archived, and you can do it by selecting the specific date on the first page. So here we have this archive date, so it will automatically kind of will be removed from the main view. But same as creating forms, we need to give it a name. Let's say it's India Pardot landing page. I can give it a tag. I can always put it in the correct folder. So for every country, maybe you have a different folder. So the title, so this will be the title that will appear in that variable tag. So let's say this is contact us. Oops, contact us India. I can add a description. This is obviously for your landing pages SEO. Who is familiar with marketing, paid marketing, SEO is very important because this helps you to rank higher in Google. Obviously, select always a campaign to track how many prospects and visitors hit your landing page. Then you can select archive date. Let's say tomorrow I want this landing page to disappear from the main view from the people in the business who view. And then I can also hide from the search engine indexing, and I can click next. So here will be the moment where I can either create a new form, either select existing form or no form. So maybe this is just a landing page with a video and the description that you want to send and add in your email. Maybe this is a landing page where you are inviting people to event, and you're actually reusing any of your pre-existing forms, or you're creating a new form. I'm gonna reuse existing standard form and gonna click next. So then this is the moment where we can select our layout template that either us or marketing agency or internal IT team has built for us, and I'm gonna click nowhere, because then it will automatically, here is the form that I built, here is the design that I had, and I'm gonna click next. And it's slowly thinking. And then similarly as with the form, I can preview whatever I have created and click confirm and save. I will gonna do so. And now let's talk about the link. So by default, whenever you're creating a new landing page or when you're creating a new form, Pardot will gonna generate and give you this ugly link. Obviously, whenever you are potentially adding and including your landing page in your email template, you want to have a presentable link that will gonna look great and not spammy. So in this case, we're gonna add and create vanity URL. So okay, so because I don't have created tracker domain, I can't actually add a vanity URL. But in a scenario, in general, every business will gonna have, and they will wanna have a custom URL that is, for example, Pareto /contact us. So whenever you're actually creating a landing page, you would actually wanna have a nice link to give to a prospect to actually see and click on. So that would be the case. And then last but not least, let's talk about landing page and form reporting. So as you probably see, if I go back to my landing page, I can view the same way as I did for the form. I can view my report directly from that landing page I am on. And obviously here I don't have any interesting, nice reports to view. That's why, let's say this was a mistake, and I can easily, as quickly as I created this landing page, I can also delete this landing page. But in general, obviously as a business, you will want to go to reports. I mean, in ideal scenario, you would probably have all these reports set up in your Salesforce and maybe with some custom columns, etc., etc. But I would click on reports, marketing assets, forms, and then here I will be able to see all the forms that I have, and I'm gonna expand to 50, and you can see form statistics and form handler statistics. So these are for both form types. You have two different sections on a page, and then I can see all the metrics over here. I also can change the view and see maybe for only how many this month. So it will gonna show me these forms were in total viewed, let's say, only 4 times this month. So you can basically change these based on the report and the information that you want to see, as well as you can have these tools, and you can also export CSV potentially if you want to visualize it in a different way, or maybe in a third-party tool, or maybe you want to print it. And similarly, if I go to reports, marketing assets, landing pages, I can see the same for landing pages and multivariate tests here. So the same way as you learned probably in a couple of days before, that you can have A/B tests for your email templates. You can test your landing pages in Pardot as well. So that's from my side it for today. So today I'm gonna briefly obviously summarize. We learned a lot of key things that we need to know about Pardot forms and form handlers and how they are different. In a nutshell, form handler is a quicker solution that helps you to retain your current website design, and you can also integrate it with your web to lead form if required. Website Pardot forms are a little bit more complicated to build. You will need to have a custom design, but they will gonna allow you to add the bot protection. They will gonna allow you to add the progressive profiling. They will gonna allow you to add dependent field values, and you will be able to do a little bit more cleverer stuff with the forms. And obviously, as you create your forms, you need to have your layout template and your landing page to stamp them inside the landing page, so you can achieve full and whole solution, and basically able to use these landing pages to track and record people who are interested in your products, in your landing pages, in your events, etc., etc. So now we have 7 minutes. I'm gonna click on the chat, and I'm happy for you guys to, I guess, ask me questions, anything you have. So one new, in progressive profiling, how would you know it's the same person who filled his first name? What is the identifier? So the very simple, these are cookies. So if I'm using cookied browser, I will be able to basically browser will pre-fill already collected data based on the cookies. The exception is obviously if I'm using incognito. In incognito, cookies are not tracked, so Pardot would not know who the person is. So if you are using tracked browser, progressive profiling will gonna work. Can we have our own pre-fill with values? So you can add potentially placeholders. So whenever you are maybe, and I will gonna show you what is a placeholder. So here I have my website. So this is the placeholder. What's on your mind, and here's like project deadline something something. As soon as I start typing in, it disappears. So you can develop and create something like this if you want on your website. Good question. Any other questions? In general, obviously, I would highly obviously recommend on the internet, there are a lot of, I guess, videos, a lot of images on the trailhead. If you don't have access to the training org, make sure you visually remember and know where is what. And also, it was already a while ago, but what type of questions they can also ask. Pardot likes to ask you what is the way, how to get, or where you can change one thing or another thing. So make sure you kind of remember, I need to go to marketing, I need to go to landing pages, I need to click on layout template. So remember these pathways, how to get to a specific point to get the right information. So try to, I guess, look at the videos, try to maybe draw or like write these steps to remember where to find what. Instead of a link, can we have a form directly placed in an email? So this is very not recommended, and I will gonna explain you and show you all the reasons why. So including forms in the emails, the form might not render correctly, the form might not capture the data, the form might not trigger an alert about submitting data to an external page. Email clients tend to flag emails that contain forms as spam, so including one could hurt your engagement. So again, would not recommend adding email form in your email. Something similar to have dynamic content in email. Can we have the concept of dynamically change the landing page or custom landing page based on the list or a prospect's preferences? Brilliant question, and the answer is yes, yes, yes. So based on cookies, so let's say I am Kristina, I am in your Pardot, and my country is Latvia. So for that specific country, you can automatically display the dynamic banner or dynamic fields or dynamic landing, like dynamic text in the landing page based on the information that you have on my profile. And then obviously you can have a fallback. So for that, you can use dynamic content and HTML to achieve that. Can we safely assume that form handlers are used for a practice to have a clean data input into the Pardot system? No, I mean, you can, so basically the functionality of form and form handler is exactly the same. With form, you can actually just do more. Like I said, you can, with form you can have extra bot protection, progressive profiling, extra styling, but both will gonna capture clean data. In progressive profiling can also update the data entered in the past instance. Yes, so if you choose, so whenever you are creating a new form, I'm gonna go to forms. I will gonna click on my test form. We're gonna click edit. We're gonna click on fields. We're gonna click on this pencil icon. And here, again, you will just need to click this always display if previously completed. So you will need to make sure to go through all the fields and mark always display if previously completed. So if the field is previously completed, they see what they have inputted before and they can correct it if they need to, and then submit the missing information. Can we configure custom validation rule on the form fields? So you can have dependent fields like we discussed here, based on the specific value, display or not display the additional fields, but you don't have validation rules inside the form. This is Salesforce functionality, but you have dependent logic if you need to. Or if you are using form handlers, then technically on your own website you can build any type of logic you want. So if you want to have maybe some validation rules, then you will use form handler, and then you will handle on the all the logic on the website. So yeah, technically answer is yes. Just do then the form handler and have all the logic on the website. What are the reports lists available for forms and form handlers? So as we saw before, I'm just gonna cancel this. If I go to reports, marketing assets, forms, so by default these are the stats that Pardot gives you. So you can capture how many total views, unique views. I'm gonna make this bigger. Conversions, total submissions, unique submissions, total errors, unique errors, total clicks, unique clicks. You can have it all time or show me only for the last quarter, and then it will gonna update. So in the last quarter, these are the stats. Can we also generate custom reports? If you want to have custom reports, you're going to create those inside Salesforce. But yes, you can have custom reports. You'll just need to create them in Salesforce. Can we tag these forms and form handlers to campaigns and generate revenue? Exactly. So that was my point. Whenever you're creating a landing page, whenever you're creating a form, you need to add them to a specific campaign to make sure you can actually track your revenue. So here, if I click on, again, edit, you will create your campaigns and connected campaigns inside Pardot and Salesforce. You're gonna add this campaign, and then you're gonna link it to make sure you can track your ROI. Basically, you're gonna track all the submissions, all the people that submitted the form, and then once you convert your lead to a contact, once you assign opportunity to a contact, once you close that opportunity, it will all be automatically connected to the campaign, and then you can see all the ROI. Are forms and landing pages specific to a business unit, or are they shared? So I guess as far as I'm concerned, at the moment, forms and landing pages are specific, business unit specific if you have enabled business units, but in the future maybe you'll be able to have shared landing pages and forms. But that's, I guess, depends on the Pardot. Campaign, I understand, but where is the placeholder to have connected campaigns here? So if you have enabled connected campaigns in your org, and in this case, I'm sure you know how to do that. So you go to settings, you go to edit, you go to connected campaigns, and then you enable them. So whenever you have set up your connected campaigns, you will automatically see only those campaigns that you have in your Salesforce in Pardot. So if you have enabled connected campaigns, that those campaigns will be in Pardot. And obviously you're going to manage all campaigns inside your Salesforce, and in Pardot all campaigns will be read-only. Alrighty guys, so it is 1 hour 35 minutes. I guess I will all let you go. Thank you very much for joining this training session. It was a lot of fun. I hope and I'm sure you learned and saw a lot of interesting new things. So thank you very much for your attention. The best of luck with your exam, and have an amazing Saturday night.
Thanks, Kristina, for an awesome session out there.